I'm Kendrick Scott. I've been a Vater artist since 2001. I originally started playing the drums at age 6. My parents got me a drum pad, and my mother found me beating on everything, so she decided to give me a drum pad. And then at age 8, they got me a drum set, and I beat on that thing forever. Ended up going to a regular middle school where I joined a marching band, and that was my dream, to be in the marching band, to march snare drum. And after middle school, my mother, kind of had a little bit of hesitation with me just only concentrating on playing the snare drum. So she said, why don't you go to the high school for performing and visual arts in Houston? And I really didn't want to do that because I just wanted to march, do drum corps and marching band, whatever. But I auditioned and I got in, and it was the best thing that happened to me. Met a lot of great musicians there. Robert Glasper, I went to school with Eric Harlan, had just left the school, Walter Smith. And just being around a lot of great drummers. Jamara Williams was at school with me, and Chris Dave had gone on before me. So that was a great experience to be at the school, and just a lot of healthy competition and a lot of great artistry even at a young age. And so after that, I ended up going to Berklee College of Music up here in Boston, and being at Berklee was great. A lot of the relationships that I forged then are still lasting today. And so I met a lot of those artists that I'm playing with today are ones that I met at Berklee. And even in high school, actually my first gig when I came out of Berklee was with Joe Sample and the Crusaders. And I met Joe Sample when he originally moved back to Texas after being in LA for a really long time. And they had a get together for him, and I played at the party, and he came and sat in with us, and he remembered me 4 years later. And that's how I got the Crusaders gig. So I had the Crusaders gig before I graduated, and then in my cap and gown, Terence Blanchard called me, and he asked me to join the band. And I actually had to tell him no because I was in the Crusaders at the time. So what I did was I did the Crusaders tour for a while, and then when the tour kind of ended, I started up with Terence Blanchard, and everything has been a whirlwind ever since. A real blessing to come out of school with gigs. It's almost been unrealistic for me to have those gigs. As things kept progressing, a lot of my opportunities that I've been afforded have been through Terence Blanchard. And through Terence, I met Diane Reeves, who I play with, and I met Herbie Hancock, and we've done a lot of touring with Herbie. Wow, so many other artists, New Orleans artists, Nicholas Payton on trumpet, played with him, and Maria Schneider, great composer. And I have my own band called Kendrick Scott Oracle. We've done one CD under that name, and I've done another quintet CD. And at the present time, I'm writing for my new CD, which will be recorded in December of this year, and to be put out in the middle of 2011. So that's kind of my story up to now. I've been playing the sticks since before I joined Vater. I've been having Vaters. Pretty much Manhattan 7/8 have been my sticks since high school, but I used to use the Manhattan 7/8 wood tip. And then I moved to nylons later on, I think around college or something. And so that's always been my stick of choice, but I always felt that Vater sticks were the logical extension of my hand, if that makes any sense. The craftsmanship and the quality, I hold my sticks to a really high standard, so I like the pitches to be the same of my sticks. So when I play them on the cymbals, there's not a variance from stick to stick. So I always have my sticks matching. And if you ever come and see my sticks in my stick bag, I actually mark the butt ends of them. I number them or do things to mark them so I know which pair fits together. And the beautiful thing about Vater sticks is they already pretty much come that way in the package. And I've always really respected that, the craftsmanship that they're made with. You know, I played with the Manhattan 7/8, the nylon tips for years. And then recently, Vater came out with this new stick called the Swing model. And that kind of took over my whole thought process for a long time, just trying to incorporate it into what I do. And I found that I can get even more of the textures that I love to get with the Manhattan 7/8 from the Swing sticks. They have a little bit more response to them, and the weight in the middle, it also has a beefiness to it because the taper, if you see the stick, it goes like this, and then it widens up in the middle. So that beefiness in the taper in the middle of the stick gives it a little bit more punch and power when I need it. But actually the long taper at the end, towards the tip end, gives it a nice feel on my ride cymbals. And I play a lot of dark ride cymbals, a lot of jazz stuff, so I really love to have the nylon stick attack spring out of the dark cymbals. So that's why I use nylon, and it's great because they last for a long time. The other models that I use are the retractable wire brushes, which I love. I use the heavies and also the regulars, depending on the song or the texture that I want to go for. The heavies are great for playing on cymbals during tunes. And also I use the Polyflex models, which are some of my favorites because you can go between so many different kinds of textures with those. And so many Vater accessories I've used over the years, the jingle rings and the bomber, the beater, the bass drum beater, and many other things. Most of the products, all of the products, not most of them, are first class in the Vater scheme of products. You know, it's been a joy for me to play Vater for almost 10 years now, since 2001, and I look forward to playing it forever. I think dynamics is actually one of the things that drew me to music, and one of the things that I think about most, or that I practice the most when I'm around or playing music, is the concept of give and take. Always providing the listener with some type of information that they can get used to, and then you take it away from them. So if I play at a certain volume for a long time in a room, I'm always trying to play the room as efficiently as I can. So what I'll do sometimes is, when the softest tune comes, I'll play the softest I can play, and then I'll take that away and bring something out loud, or bring something really dynamic and out of the ordinary in. So I mean, it's one of those things where you can actually train the ear to hear loud things as soft things, if that makes any sense. If you can make a lot of events in the music really calming, when you do come up and you bring the intensity up, it won't feel like too loud of a thing when it actually is. So it's almost kind of camouflaging, I don't know how to say it, camouflaging your loudness, so to speak. But what I love about playing with great musicians is that pretty much all of that stuff is taken care of when you are in the moment playing the music. And being dynamic, I think, involves your relationship with the people that you're playing with. You can trust in them, and a lot of times for a jazz drummer, it's also realizing that you don't have to play all the time and every beat to be a dynamic drummer in the sense of getting your message across. So sometimes even less is more. So that's another way of having give and take in your playing. So those are just things that I'm always thinking of and working on in my playing. The one thing I would say to young drummers coming up, I always like to stress to never deny your roots. I think the beauty of music and of drumming is to hear people's roots in their playing. Say I'm from Houston, Texas, so there are a lot of things in Houston, Texas that have influenced me. I grew up watching Sebastian Whitaker and G.T. Hogan and Chris Dave and Eric Harlan and Clyde Adams and all of these guys that are in Houston. And so those roots come out of my playing all the time. And so I always tell people to never deny your roots. Just because you want to sound like a certain person, what you want to do is you want to gather that information and use it in your own way. And I think, even though I don't know if I have my own specific voice yet, but I think that's the path that we should take to gaining our own voices, is just to take what the masters have done, learn as many things from them as we can, and then use them in our own way. And I think that's really, really important, because I think as drummers sometimes we can get caught up in the technical side of, okay, so-and-so did this, okay, this is how to do it, and never really think about the human aspect of, okay, what is this saying to me personally? How do I want to relay this message to other people? So really important to remember your roots, and just remember that your voice is in interpreting what the masters have done. Thanks for checking this out. Be sure to go out and get all the Vater sticks that you can get. The model that I use is a swing model. You can keep up with me at kendrickscott.com. The name of my band is Kendrick Scott Oracle. Look out for the new CD in the next year, in 2011. And be well, and hit me up on Facebook. Kendrick Scott at Facebook. All right, peace.